Alright, so I'm out here with my phone camera this time, sitting in the shade. You can see I've already started to dig into this. And what I've done, this is a Toro, the 6.5 horsepower, Tecumseh engine on it. And when I first got this, what it was doing, it wasn't getting gas into the cylinder. I checked the spark, everything was good. And it wasn't getting gas in, so I took the carburetor off, cleaned it all out, put it back on, and it was real sporadic. At some points it would, it wasn't getting gas, and then it was getting gas, but it was actually leaking, and you can see the spots where it was dripping down here and all the way down. And the gas tank's just about empty. So it was behaving, at first it wasn't getting gas, and then once I got everything cleaned up, then it was getting too much and it was leaking, and I don't know exactly what it is. And I'll show you. I'm going to go ahead and take this carburetor off, and what I'm doing, because it's just a single gasket. It's the gasket on the needle valve for the on the float bowl under here. And I'm sure that's what it is. It's just that one single gasket, and it's not sealing or it's plugging it up, right? And I was going to get a rebuild kit, but looking at the pricing on it, it was like, $5 plus shipping, and some of them, up to $9 or $10 for the rebuild kit on these. When, shoot, I could turn around and get the whole carburetor for 11 something, about $12. So cost wise, and the easy way out is just to get a new carburetor. And so there's the new carburetor there. I'm just going to swap it out, and that should do it. But if you're trying to troubleshoot your carburetor like that, that's definitely what it is. Once I take this apart, I'll show you exactly which gasket it is. But like I said, this was just cheap enough just to get the whole carburetor. But anyway, I will finish it up. Okay, so I took the carburetor off. You can see, make sure you have everything in place. It's real easy. I'm doing this with one hand, so sorry for the crappy video, but I took the nut off, and it actually, it looks pretty good. I mean, because I know I had already taken the carburetor apart and cleaned it off before. But you can see the pin inside moving up and down. So underneath the pin there's a gasket, and that's what's controlling the fuel flow. And I see a lot of times where the gasket goes bad, so when the bowl's filling up, that should be shutting it off, but apparently it's not. Before, it was stuck and it wouldn't, and the bowl wouldn't fill up. There was no fuel flowing through it. After I cleaned it off, there was plenty of fuel flowing through, but as it moved up, it wouldn't shut off, so it just leaked all the gas. But much easier. I mean, it's no problem if you have the kit to rebuild it, but it was much easier and almost cost effective just to get the whole new carburetor, and it saves you a lot of time, if you're looking at it that way too. So I'll put this thing back together and we'll test it out. Alright, so it is finished. There it is. Looks good. Next thing I need to do is pour some gas in it and make sure it holds gas. And that really didn't take me that long. 20 minutes, maybe 30, because I'm trying to play with my dog at the same time. Go get it. Alright, so let's put some gas in it and make sure it's still not leaking any gas. If it is, I would double check the hose going into the carburetor, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work. Alright, so I put gas in it, and I'm just kind of giving it some time, letting the bowl fill up and make sure I don't see any more drips. So far so good. In the meantime, here you go. Go get it. Still no gas. Watch up, Gertie. Let me have it. Come on. Let me have it. Drop it. She'll fetch anything. Right now she's fetching a worn out stick. Ready? Ready? And still no leak, so let's get it started up. Alright, so I brought this in here so that we have a little better view, a little better video checking out. This is the old carburetor. So when you're looking at the float there, and you can see the little pin in there moving up and down. So the new carburetor, there was a few differences. You can see this has the plastic nozzle on there. On the new one it's metal. A big difference. Let me take this this float off. There we go. So I pulled the pin. So when you're looking at this here, on the new carburetor, the pin actually has the little rubber tip on it. And on the new one, it's just bare metal in there, right? With this one, it does have that little gasket on the inside, and this is totally metal. So in this case, it was the gasket that was going bad. But there's also something else you can check. You can adjust the float, see that little metal tab on there, by bending it in or out. When you bend it out, it limits the travel of the float. So if you bend it out, then it'll be stopping, way short. If you bend it in, then it's gonna go farther down. The recommended gap here, when you start fooling with that, you got to look at the spacing between the float and the body of the carburetor. And I believe I think Tecumseh even used to have a little tool. All it is just a little a feeler gauge, just about. And if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was somewhere around 170 thousandths up to 200 thousandths is the optimum range there. And even on a new carburetor, I would probably check that just to make sure that it hasn't been bent. I mean, when these things are assembled, it could be, used, abused, whatever, but just make sure that you're within that range. And that's about it. In this case, like I said, I just decided to instead of taking this thing apart and rebuilding it, I just got the whole new carburetor because it was about the same price and much easier to swap it out. So, but I'll probably keep this for parts, or if you want that, you can, if you need a replacement bulb, you got one, whatever, just a float. If you have a float that goes bad, at least this one's still good. But that is it. That is how you can either rebuild it and replace the gasket, or just get a new one, or if it needs adjustments, it's just that little tab. But that's how you deal with a Tecumseh carburetor.